Hey, Matt Scratch here. So the other day my dad was parked at Walmart and this happened. Now he did have a note on his windshield from the person who bumped into him, and they left their number and everything. He got a hold of them and they fully accepted blame and were willing to pay for all the damages. In fact, it was just a young guy and he was really nice about the whole thing. But it did come out through the conversation that he was fairly low on cash. So we decided to not pursue getting him to fix it because I can fix it myself here. And I actually have plans to repaint this entire car. It's got some rust issues that I want to take care of, and then do a complete repaint on it for my dad. So until that time, I'm just going to pop this out the best I can, and I'm going to show you that process. Maybe you can pick up some tips that you can use on your own car. I know a lot of people have little dents like this that they'd like to remove, but they're afraid they're going to make them look worse, which is often the case when you do try to remove dents without actually painting. So it's just a Torx bit number 30 to remove the taillight here. And then just try and pull out on the bottom of the tail light, and then pull it down. And easy, you can just give them a twist. You can unplug them too, but for this I'll just take them out like this. Here you can get a better look at the damage, but luckily it didn't break the tail light and it didn't actually crack the paint in too many places. I do have some touch-up paint I'm going to use on there later. The bumper was already cracked, if you were wondering, and I actually have another bumper this color that I'm going to be installing after, so I'm not going to worry about these little scuff marks down here, but the ones up here I'll be trying to polish out after I remove the dent. So here you can see there's some rust brewing in here on the back side, so if I was to send it to the body shop to get it repaired, what would happen is they would put a bunch of body filler on the outside, and then this rust would come through behind the body filler and it would turn into a lot bigger rust spot than it is now. So I'm just going to pop this out until I have time to deal with this area properly. So they do make specialized tools for paintless dent removal, but I don't happen to have any. I'm going to heat it up with the blow dryer, and then I actually have my son's Bouncy ball that I'm going to be using on the back side to try and push on it without creating any sharp marks that you'll see on the outside. And then from there I'll work the creases from the outside. I have this plastic shield out of my my grinding helmet, and that works really good for tapping on the paint without damaging it with my regular body hammer. So you want to avoid getting the area too hot. You don't want to warp it. Don't use a heat gun, use a blow dryer. Making a little progress. Yeah, the ball works pretty good, just like I thought it would. Pretty well got it down to the sharp creases now. So we got a high spot there. Just make sure whatever you're tapping on that with your shield is clean, so that you're not marking up the paint. See, that allows me to see through it. Oh, see, I made a bad spot there, but Normally around the perimeter of the dent you get high areas, so if you can tap them down and force that metal back into the dent. So the rule with dents generally is to work from the lowest spot, so and that's always of course moving as you're pushing it out. You work from the new lowest spot, and then as soon as you can you get your perimeters to where they need to be. This one's pretty well gone back to where it needs to be, just from straight in the middle there. So I've still got my plastic piece there, and I'm just gonna work at it with the pry bar here on the plastic, and I got a 2x4 here just to pry against. See if we can get a few more of these low spots worked up that way. I'm just working up here right now. So now I'm going to be just using my regular metal dolly on the back side. I mean, I can always spray paint the back side. It doesn't matter if I mess up that paint. I got a bit of a bump going on here I want to try and smooth out. It's going to be a little bit tricky trying to hold this, but we'll see if we can hold that with our 2 fingers and tap on it there. That did help. Now maybe a little more working that with the bar and I can get it. I also noticed this whole corner's folded in. There's a bit of a fold line here. So I'm actually going to try and pry off the tire here. I'm going to try and warm that up too. So if we get our 2x4 here and put it on the tire's edge, I'm hoping that I can pry that just a little bit. Put some pressure on it here. Just keep the area clean. It's a low area up here, low area here, some low areas here. Just got to keep working those, and this whole area here is pushed in. Gonna see. Be careful because this is a crimped edge here, and if I hit it too high up with the bar behind there, it'll make an outie mark up here. So I'm just going right on the lip there. So one other thing you can do, you can put some masking tape over the paint to protect it, but it won't take much of a beating, so be careful and put a little on your hammer as well. The nice thing, I can still feel the bump through the tape. Just trying to get that high spot down. Well, I haven't done any polishing yet or anything like that, but here's how it's turning out for the dent. You can see there's a few little ripples in it. Especially this area, I really couldn't get any better, but it is a huge improvement. It's pretty much straight now. There's a few little wrinkles down in here too that I can't quite get out, but I'll be touching up that paint there, any paint nicks, and polishing off these scrapes. So I still gotta deal with that there. Okay, so this lip right here, I'm gonna heat it up as best I can first, and then I'll try and just pry it out, because that'll be less likely to leave little indentations than if I use the hammer on it. And there's probably gonna be a bit of a crease left here because there's a double wall behind it, and there's probably a reinforced area right here where it creased. So I don't want to pull too much in one area here, or I will crease the lip over. There's a low spot right here I'll get up first. It was actually a Jeep Patriot that hit the vehicle, if you're wondering. And apparently it did more damage to the Patriot than it did to the PT here, so according to the owner of the Patriot, we never saw the Patriot. We're just going to try and hit that ridge down a little bit. Actually, we'll just use the tape here. Getting some little ripples there, so. So now you can get yourself a straight edge, and I just put some masking tape down it so I'm not scraping the paint with it. It's a real good way to check things like this. So you can see we're getting it pretty close. It's got a little low area right here I got to work up still. That was where it was lowest originally. So here's the final overview of the actual straightening, how it turned out, and I still got a lot of polishing to do here to make the paint look as good as it can now. and then some touch-up painting lastly, so I'll show you that as well. So the worst of it is this corner here, because I can't get in behind it to get this out. It's double walled in here, so that's going to have to stay there. So I'll just be starting a polishing step here. I'll be using this Meguiar's Ultimate Compound here. I've used it before and it seems to work pretty good. So and then just have some sprayer full of water and towel. Keep wiping off the area as you go. I'll just be using this 10-inch orbiting buffer. Nothing too fancy, but should get the job done, and we'll get you on the tripod here and get started. Well, I'm not an expert polisher or anything, but one thing I do know is it's very important that the area that you're polishing's clean, all your equipment's clean, your hands are clean. Any little particle of dirt can act as a grinding compound and just destroy the surface you're working on, scrape it all up. So you want to make sure that the only thing on that polishing pad is the polish. And then we'll just make a couple circles around the pad here. And then just work it around a little on the panel first, so that it doesn't spray off too bad. And you just want to stay away from edges, because you can burn through on an edge really easy. Of course, I gotta get this area, all these marks off, so I can see they're coming off already, no problem. It's not going to get rid of all those scratches. Some of those are pretty deep, but a lot of it was just paint transfer or rubber marks or whatever. Okay, so you can see I'm using kind of a junky pad. It's already ripped up because that paint edge is pretty rough on the pad there. So now just buff that off with your clean towel. Careful not to hook your towel into the wheel opening there. You could get dirt on it and then track it back up onto the paint. So okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, actually looks a little shinier than the rest of the car now. I feel like I should keep going, but it got rid of the rubber marks. It minimalized the appearance of the scrapes. Of course, it's shinier now, so the ripples show up a bit better. And there's a dull area there I can't quite get rid of. You gotta be careful that you don't break through the clear coat, so which is probably what that already is. The scrape probably wore right through the clear coat. That's why I can't polish it out. They say normally if you can hook it with your fingernail, then it's too deep to polish out. So that's kind of a guideline there. Okay guys, well I got a little bit of touch-up paint here just in this little lid. I mixed a little hardener into it so it'll harden up really quick, and what I'm using to apply it is just a little piece of cereal box, just a little piece of cardboard, and you tear it off rough so the end's hairy, and you use that as a paintbrush, because a normal paintbrush holds too much paint and you'll end up with a big gob of paint there, and it won't blend in nice. A matchstick works great if you have a paper matchbook. I didn't have one handy, so I went with this. And you just take your time. I did go around with a screwdriver and just break any of the loose paint away from the edges, because there was some that would have lifted, and so it wouldn't have lasted. You can see it really doesn't take a lot to fill that in. So that one's filled. Okay, well, since we scarred up in here a little bit when we were working in here with the pry bar and whatnot, I'm just going to take this rust paint, it's gray in here anyways, and just coat this in here, and that'll also slow down that rust on the backside there that's creeping around. I masked off the wire harnesses in here, and just put this masking here to prevent overspray. On my mom's other two PTs, I've already done this to both of them to prevent rust in here. They're not rusty in here yet, so this is a common area where moisture builds up on PT Cruisers. Okay, so that should seal that up. We'll give that a second to air out and dry, and then we'll put that taillight in. Okay guys, it's 100% done now. I got the taillight all in. Everything's polished, the paint's dry. What do you think? I think it turned out pretty good. I knew it wouldn't be perfect just because of how deep and creased up the dent was, but I'm pretty happy with the results here. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching Matt's Garage. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and have yourself a great day.
I just found something green. And here, Daddy. There's actually something green right here. What is this?
I don't know, bud.
I see this piece of the one line. Well, this piece right there. Stapler. So can you reach? I'm holding up when I walk in the water. Okay, right here.